Hello, Taurus. Welcome to Mind, Body, and Heart Tarot Therapy. Happy New Year. I'm here to do the reading for January 2020. I hope you're well, Taurus, and I hope you had a beautiful end of the year 2019 and that that you were able to wrap it up in a way that's satisfactory to you and that you had the closure that you needed and everything else. And yes, I wish you a smooth and beautiful transition to the year 2020. All right, so the first card that shows up for you is the Nine of Wands as your current energy. Let's see what's your challenge now. Oh, that's a lot. You know what, I'm gonna take them even though it's a little. Wow, it's quite a lot. So the Knight of Wands, the Queen of Pentacles, the Ace of Cups, and the Eight of Pentacles. It's a lot of challenges there. Okay. What's your focus? The High Priestess is your focus. What's your advice now? The Nine of Cups. And what's this for? Where is this taking you? Queen of Swords. Bottom of the deck. This is your card actually. The Hierophant is Taurus energy as your underlying energy. So let's see. All right, I'm going to pull out the clarifiers for this. You really want more cards. The Six of Stones and the Nine of Swords as your current energy with the Nine of Wands. The Four of Swords with all that pack over there as your challenge. The Five of Stones as your focus. And the Ten of Stones as your advice. And the Nine of Cups, here we go again, as your future energy along with the Queen of Swords. And bottom of the deck, we have the Seven of Swords along with the Hierophant as your underlying energy, pretty much the theme of your reading. Yes, I didn't notice this is a general reading for Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign. So if it resonates, it resonates. And if it doesn't, it's just not your reading, right? So, the Hierophant with the Seven of Swords, which in this deck is called uselessness. So that's a very interesting take on it, on this Seven of Swords, right? And I think what's useless for you this month is to think too much. Also, the Hierophant is it's your card, but it's somebody who's really grounded, but he's grounded in belief systems and religion. And I never really understood, to be honest, why is this deeply connected with Taurus energy. But maybe it's that whole like manifestation of religion, but taking into type of institution, if that makes sense, like church or I don't know, priests, castes, and all that structure. And we need that type of structure to a certain degree, some of us more than other, in order to continue the whole teachings, I suppose. So the Hierophant in basically he's a teacher, right? He's teaching the world about religion. And It may be that sometimes you want to come out as a teacher all the time. What I get with this uselessness here and the Seven of Swords is that maybe what you're trying to teach right now is not exactly what is needed. And you don't need to play that role all the time. It may come natural to you, but it's not always useless. It's not always useful. Sometimes it's really important to see if the teachings that we learned in our day, do they still make sense? Are they still relevant? This is kind of what you're working with this month. Let's see. Let's go through this first and see what this is all about. But this is something that I'm getting from this whole thing is that, yeah, maybe revise your teachings and revise this whole position of having to teach all the time. Like the church, just to come back to that example, can have amazing teachings about love, about connection, about I don't know, the path one way or another. But it has also a lot of completely outdated teachings that do not apply nowadays, and they do more harm than good. Therefore, a lot of wars are related to religion, and people arguing on semantics. So what's the word of God really teaching, turning into preaching, really? And institutionalized religion can be great in so many ways, but it can be so harmful as well. Yeah, let's see. What's that all about? So 9 of Wands, the 9 of Swords, and the 6 of Stones as your current energy. And the 6 of Stones here, it's called success, and the 9 of Swords is called cruelty. And the 9 of Wands, by the way, 2 nines, 3 nines, 4 nines in this reading. Yes. You're close to ending some cycles here, and that's really great because the energy is shifting a lot, and we are called to shift with it, and it's up to us whether we answer the call or not, but we feel it, and the suit of wands and the suit of swords towards the end of the cycle, they can become a little bit more challenging, but that's the thing, we need to go with it in order to enable the new cycle to come in, to not get stuck into a cycle that's not that's outdated, that doesn't work for us anymore, where we just need to let go of, otherwise it repeats again and again and again, the same type of pattern, the same type of experience, the same type of like, did you ever have that sensation that like everything is really on repeat, that you attract the same type of people, the same type of drama, the same type of I don't know, experiences? If that's the case, then this is your reading. If that's not the case, then this is not your reading. But if you do have that feeling now, I think you're really at the point where you're almost there. You're almost there. You gotta push through. And with the 6 of Stones here coming as success, I think you're able to. I think you're able to finally go beyond your mind that can be very cruel at times, especially to yourself, but also to others. And also to go beyond this tiredness that comes with fight after fight after fight after fight, when we are in the war and we withstand so many wounds in this war. This is the Wounded Warrior card. We feel incredibly tired, and we kind of know what to expect already, and it's again just like press the play button, here we go again, and you put the same defenses up there, and they come at you in the same way, and again and again and again. It's like a never-ending cycle. That's how it can feel. And with the 9 of Swords, the never-ending cycle of thoughts. where it's the same story being played on repeat in your mind. The point is to be grounded enough, and I think this is where the Six of Stone comes in, to be able to see it and to be able to detach from that story, from these two stories. And I think they're heavily connected. This is something that I had to experience at a very deep level, in a pretty harsh way, to be honest. And for myself, what I've learned is that whenever I'm in there's always a duality, the outer duality and the inner duality. Whenever I'm playing one role, there's a complement for it. Somebody else needs to play the other role, especially if there's like, okay, if I'm a warrior here, I need to fight against someone, whoever that is. If I am the victim, then there needs to be an abuser. If I am the abuser, there needs to be a victim. If I am the savior, then there needs to be someone to be saved. If I am I don't know what other examples to give. If I am the one giving mercy, giving something away, Six of Stones talks about also about kindness and giving something. There needs to be someone to receive, you see. And when many times this war is actually happening on the inside, and we are both the perpetrator and the one that needs to defend oneself. And if we slow down enough and if we look inside, we are able to see this, and we are able to stop this madness that we are trapped inside of ourselves again and again and again. Because these stories that keep repeating in our lives, they're first repeating inside of ourselves. And yes, it's up to you how you take that, and it's up to you what's your, I don't know, your cosmology, what kind of belief system you are operating from. That doesn't change that we can be incredibly cruel with ourselves in our mind, and we can abuse ourselves in ways that maybe we've learned from someone that was the model of communication that we learned as kids. Maybe it didn't necessarily happen to us, but maybe if your parents talk to each other this way, or if you witness this type of behavior of being like really cruel with each other at whoever were your role models at school or in your playground. It's something that you've internalized, or maybe you were treated in this way. Maybe somebody was truly cruel to you and you kind of internalized that this is how you deserve to be treated, because that's how your caretakers have treated you in the first place. It doesn't need to be as dramatic. It can be much lighter. It can connect not necessarily to very intense trauma, but also to innocent trauma, things that we internalize at a young age. The point is that there are some deep wounds there, and you keep inflicting them yourself again and again and again. And this is what stops you, I believe, from expanding using your passion to expanding your spiritual realm, from staying being nurturing either with yourself and with the rest of the world, from opening your heart, from keeping a routine that's healthy for you and having the peace of mind. This is called truth. It is challenging to bring truth into that whole dynamics of perpetrator and defense that's happening inside of yourself, inside of your, inner being, the personas that I don't know how to call that to not sound too weird. We all have an inner world that it's more rich than we care to admit. And we have the inner critic that it's always going to come and tell us that what we're doing is wrong. We also have the inner child. We also have the inner child, usually quite young, and maybe at the age of 4 or 5, and it goes into a tantrum whenever things don't go our way, or there's a lot of suffering coming from there, but it can also come a lot of joy once we get in touch with them and cater for the basic needs of our inner children. There is also I don't know, the maybe the romantic, or there's some we hold within ourselves all these archetypes actually, and we are more familiar with one or another. We tend to identify with a few of them, and maybe we take one as the main identity, but the rest are deep down inside, and there's always this duality and dynamics of because, for example, if I do something and I'm not really sure is this the right thing to do, there's going to be that little devil on my shoulder start saying, no, this is the wrong thing to do, you shouldn't do this, you should do it like this, or you should do it the other way, look at you, you're not good at nothing, you don't know what you're doing. I don't know, depends on how your inner critic manifests, but I can be quite cruel. So just to make it clear that this is, I'm not coming at all from a place of judgment. We all have this type of dynamics within ourselves. Maybe some of us more than others. And I think that this reading is addressing those that are somehow trapped within that place right now, and feel that loop again and again and again, and maybe not really sure why this keeps going on. And that's happening because you need to heal that deep wound, and you need to bring that truth within. Have an inner conference. Admit to the other parts of you that they exist, first of all. You need to allow awareness. And this is actually a type of therapy called parts therapy. You can also do inner child therapy, shadow work, that type of anything that works for you, what you feel more attracted to. But I don't know, for me, for example, when I started like being confronted by these things, when I started being aware of these things, because of course I wasn't born with this awareness, and I did wait until the last moment. I did wait to be pushed to my very edge in order to start looking within more seriously, and becoming more aware, and yeah, starting to have the conversation. And yeah, you can use your imagination here however you want. I was imagining a conference table, and I was imagining I don't know, my inner critic sitting there, and my inner child whining there somewhere. And I imagined, I don't know, some lady that was always looking for love or whatever, what over there, and then the cynic, and then this and that. And kind of like in the beginning it was a complete madness in there, like I don't visualize it, so it was a more conceptualization of this. And it was complete madness. I mean, it was really difficult to make sense of what was happening, but slowly I started like to give more space to that type of practice, and to allow these voices to be heard. Okay, inner critic, what do you need? I know you're trying to protect me one way or another. So why are you being so cruel with me? What do you want from me? Usually the answer would be something like, I don't want you to suffer. So I want you to do the right choice, or do things the right way, whatever that right might be. That's why the Hierophant here is like coming with the uselessness to check in with yourself what's still useful, what is truly relevant. And then I don't know, the whining part of me, whining Myrtle, whoever, what was the ghost from Harry Potter called? She was whining about something and something and something, and instead of being annoyed at her, I was also asking her, what do you need? And she was maybe, well, I feel uncomfortable with all this, I need more space, I need more attention, I need this and that. The inner child's the same. And when you take the time to do any type of work that borders around like this, to address your inner conflict, helps you bring yourself to terms, like bring in that truth. And when you have truth, you create more space. You create more space for excitement and for group, for expansion. You could create more space for nurturing, for love, for connection, for practices that help you really grow, that help you stay grounded, that help you stay into a space where you can mm, you can hold space for yourself, and you can be here and now and not in a trance from the past. This is your challenging position, right? So it is, I get it. It's quite challenging to achieve everything that is needed to be achieved here. It's like they're all packed up here, as if yeah, being the end of the cycle and all. What you have as focus, though, is the high priestess. So in order to cope with this, what you need to do is, as I mentioned, is to go within. Like really, really go within. Take your time. You listen to your intuition. Listen to your feminine energy. Allow that. Allow yourself to observe. To create more space to observe. Not to get drawn into all these stories and live them again and again and again, because that's re-traumatizing. That doesn't make any sense. What does make sense is training of your mind to come back to the present moment. That generally is done with meditation, but it doesn't necessarily need to be formal meditation in sitting if that doesn't work for you. If you feel that it just draws you back into the reliving the stories and just gets you not in a more balanced place, then do something else. Maybe walking meditation would be great for you, or maybe journaling, maybe prayer, maybe but something that can give you some reflection time as well. If it's too intense, like if you just do exercise and sports, it may not be enough. It might just keep you busy. It's nice to just get into the body. If that works for you, do it, but also allow some time to address that what's within it, and to feel into that, not just bypass it, right? And with the five of stones here, material difficulty as your focus as well, maybe it's time to look at what you think that you're lacking. And it's not necessarily to get drawn into the story and to believe the story, but look at that hole in the soul, that emptiness that you feel inside. Sometimes when we go into compulsive behaviors or whatever that is, whether it's defensiveness, whether it's like I don't know, self-abuse of some sort, mental or emotional, even physical, but I don't see much indication of that. When we go to any type of compulsive behavior, it's usually because we feel some type of emptiness within ourselves. If we overeat, if we overdrink, if we take drugs, if we just binge watch movies or something, whatever is your hit, that's usually not because you're a bad person or not because you don't, I don't know, care for yourself or you're lazy or this or that. No, that's because there's something within that's truly lacking. And that's usually where that deep wound is. It's like creating like a I don't know, like a pretty dark gray zone where we're afraid of like Bermuda Triangle. Nobody wants to go there. And that's usually because you don't really know how to cater for those needs. You don't really know. And you're like, okay, so here I am. I see the wound. What do I do with it? How the hell do I work with this? It's there. It's painful. I can't touch it. I don't have the skill. Your the high priestess will bring you that, being into connecting to this energy of your intuition, of your something that you learn from within, your answers about how to deal with this inner gap, with this inner void, are within. And look at your advice. Your advice is to look at, see, this is Nine of Cups and the Ten of Stones, which means richness. Look at what you have. You have so much that maybe you're overlooking. And it's very easy to overlook these things because it happens, because the power of thoughts is very intense, and because our old wounds can get, when they cry for attention, they can get really overwhelming. So again, no judgment there. It really happens to the best of us, and I don't think it's a hierarchy of that. But it's up to you how you take this advice. But Nine of Cups talks about wish fulfillment, about having ever so much, this person sitting here being surrounded by all these cups, and he seems quite happy with himself and quite overjoyed with what he's got. And the Ten of Stones is richness. Like that's the interpretation here. It's not coming from me, I'm not making this up. That's the point. Yeah, so I think your advice is really to take your time and look at your accomplishments, look at what you're grateful for, look at how far you've come. Remember back when you were suffering these wounds, when these wounds were inflicted. Remember back when you were, I don't know, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, depends on your age, where you were at and where you are now, and how much you've learned and how much you've become wiser, and so much had happened, and some of it wasn't great, obviously, but you're not there anymore. You're in the here and now, and you are where you are. You need to meet yourself where you're at, and from there, like it's that radical acceptance. If you're familiar with Tara Brach, she talks a lot about radical acceptance, and also Jack Cornfield, I think. They're part of the mindfulness movement. Oh, sorry, it's getting really noisy in here. I hope you can still hear me. So it's about the mindfulness movement, and they do talk a lot about this whole we can only change something, and it's actually coming from Buddhism. That's the thing. Only when we fully accept things for what they are, not from what they want them to be. When we look at our reality for what we want it to be, we live in denial. We're pushing things away. We're not really in the here and now. We're getting into the trance of thoughts, and we're reliving our traumatizing moments again and again and again. There had been love in your life. There had been joy. There is still. If it's very possible, like so many times we just don't understand how lucky we are, basically, that we even have access to this technology, to the internet, to food, to a roof over our head. Some of us have friends. Some of us still have a living family that actually cares about us. Some of us don't. And I don't know, some of us has a pet that's very comforting. Some of us has a pen pal or a friend across the sea that's been, I don't know, having a similar experience. Anything that you can find to be grateful for. And that's not to belittle yourself that, oh my God, look at you, how whiny you are. Why aren't you more grateful? Not in that way. That's not going to help. That's just going to put you deeper into the trance of this woundedness. No. With real nurturing, like talk from the position of being you, this teacher, being you, the wise one, and talk to your inner child, because it's not you who's wounded. There's nothing wrong with you. You carry a wound, but this is like your wounded persona. Of course, physical wounds, I don't necessarily speak of physical wounds here. It's more about emotional wounds, spiritual wounds, trauma from the past that leave a mark on who we think we are right now, what we identify with. If I identify that I'm damaged, then I feel damaged. But deep down inside of ourselves, even if I have no limbs, and I don't know, people that had suffered or were born with no limbs or things like that can do amazing stuff. They can still be whole within and be real people. Why did I say real people? That sounds so weird. That sounds so weird. I don't know if I even want to go analyze that now. Like, no matter how deep the suffering you've been going through in the past or you're going through now, you are still okay. You are still worthy of love. You are still, like, you are untouched. Your spirit is untouched. Your heart space is untouched. Your heart had never truly been broken, because love is there, is deep down inside us. We carry it and we can nourish ourselves from it. Okay, I'm going astray here. Sorry, it may not make sense now in this context anymore, but it's hard to tell anyone that when you're suffering that, you know, you still got something, because it's hard to see it. I've been in that position. I've been in that place where somebody would come and tell me, "Oh, but you still have so much. How come you don't see it?" I would be like, "Get out of my face," you know. And yes, I apologize if I am not able to find the right words to make you see that, but I'm sure that life has its own way to help you see this, to help you see what you still have and how rich you really are within, and how beautiful you are, and how amazing you are, and how much you've learned from your experiences, and how much you've grown. That you don't need to play a role or another in order to be worthy of love. That you, just being you, who you are at your core, you are worthy of love because you are love. I hope that makes some type of sense to you. And see where this is taking you. The Queen of Swords and Fortune, Nine of Cups. I look at this hole now and it doesn't look empty anymore. You see this beautiful blue sky and beautiful, I don't know, grassland, whatever that is. You find the richness within. I think Rumi was saying that our wounds is where the light comes in. You're really opening yourself up for more spirituality, more wisdom. And you're able to communicate that better. And you're able to understand what you need. And you're able to communicate what you need and what you don't need. And the queens are all ruled by the drive of the heart. This is like your mind and your heart kind of working together to cater for your own needs here. And you will feel that fulfillment that you're seeking for. I'll pull out the Rumi Oracle card to wrap this up for you. So that was an intense reading, Taurus. And I'm sorry that this is really intense and painful at times. And there's a lot here on the table for you to cope with and to work with. But there's also like quite supportive energy here. With the as your focus and your advice seem to make quite a lot of sense, and they take you in a right place, I think. where you need to go, where you need to be in order to allow this Hierophant to re-actualize himself and to teach the world what the world needs to be taught, which has to do a lot with this healing process that you're undergoing right now. Okay. Sacred Convergence. I saw this really recently, but I don't remember which reading. So this is number 11. It's a really beautiful card. And it talks about... I'll just read. I don't like to summarize it. So the poem from Rumi says, roaming about town, the master was holding a light, saying, I am weary of the demons and the beasts. A human is what I'm longing for. The human cannot be found, we have searched. What cannot be found is what I'm longing for. Although poor and needy, I will not accept small pieces of ruby. The mine of the finest rubies is what I'm longing for. One hand holding a cup of wine and the other the curls of the beloved. A dance like this in the middle of the circle is what I'm longing for. Interesting. So it talks about the fact that you are worthy of the finest goods, of the finest life, of the finest joys. Don't settle down for less. Let's see what this says. So this oracle has come to you because you are part of a greater sacred convergence happening now. Perhaps you have already sensed this progression, or perhaps it will not be so obvious to you, but the effect, whether obvious or subtle, will be important to your soul development and divine awakening. You are being asked to drop defenses and barriers towards a group of people that feel good for you. You see, this person here is incredibly defensive. Because he's been wounded, he now keeps his defenses up no matter what. He's not really looking at what's coming anymore. He's just like having the shield up, you know? So you are being asked to drop off defenses and barriers toward groups of people that feel good for you. However, those that dampen your spirits or drag you down are to be dispensed with, no matter what games of blame or manipulation they may play to keep you coming back for more. So do not allow this cruelty to happen, whether it's coming from your inner critic or your inner bully, or whether it's coming from other people outside of, like, in your life. Don't buy into that. Don't allow them in your life. Don't listen to them. They have no place to drag you down. It's okay to take space. No, that shall not do for your soul's growth now. Just step away. Turn towards those connections that feel nourishing to your soul and learn to share yourself without fear. Just be. You do not have to force the planets to spin, nor the great cycles of the soul to happen. All that is required is that you show up for what is offered to you now. Do your part, take your steps, dance, sing, and be, and allow the gifts of sacred connection to change your world, for this is the spiritual gift presented to you now. This oracle comes with special message. Perhaps you have been thinking about shedding lower vibrational connection based in the ego world for power games, sabotage, manipulation of fear. My reading isn't great, sorry. Perhaps you have already begun this process, or even shed so many you are fearing you might have overplundered to be left with nothing and no one. Do not fear. Your truth is prevailing. You cannot stay in a vibration of fear if you want to dwell in a vibration of love. whilst you learn to sustain that vibration within you until it cannot be rattled by any crisis or demand, you are wise to place yourself in more nourishing connections. If you want to plant to grow, why not give it the best soil and conditions in which to do so? This oracle comes to you with guidance that the possibility for more joyful relationships and growth of love within is in your power. You can choose each day, each moment. Just make a choice. Trust yourself, your discernment, and your intuition, and choose. You do not owe anyone anything. Repeat this law of karma. You only owe love the chance to grow. So let that be your guiding principle now as you release the old and trust that even if your garden of relationships becomes sparse for a while, you have been cutting back unhealthy plants to allow for new life to flourish. It is only a matter of timing for the season of the new life and growth to come again. And so it shall, bringing with it sacred convergence of souls on the path of love, your soul tribe, your soul family, your new tribe of those journeying upon the path of love. All right, Taurus, I hope that makes sense to you. If it does, please like, share, and subscribe. I wish you again a really happy new year and have a smooth process to help you overcome whatever challenges may present to you in this coming year. And yeah, I really hope that this reading had been helpful in one way or another, and may our practice benefit all beings.